Well, how you doing, peeps? That was a squirrel in the park. Welcome to my webcast. This is Finsbury Park. Today is Wednesday, the 28th of October, 2020, and the temperature outside is about 14 degrees, 16 degrees. In the background you can see some boards. These boards are celebrating Finsbury Park 150 years as a park and many events in the park. And funny enough, one of the persons featured on the board is Jeremy Corbyn, my local MP, who was the leader of the opposition party here in the UK. And funny enough, on my way down here, literally just a few minutes ago, I passed him on the way. He was going past the Soulvale Centre in Islington, and we're very close to that here in Finsbury Park, and he only lives literally around the corner from the Soulvale Centre, so I think he may have been attending to one of his constituents' problem or scenario. So here we are in Finsbury Park, Wednesday the 28th of October 2020. Temperature is about 14 degrees. We're in autumn. It's a windy day, so this camera is a different camera from the camera I usually do my webcast on, and we actually testing this out. We might upgrade and do a little bit more technical things in the future. Meanwhile, the wind is blowing. I'm sure you're gonna hear the wind on the camera, so it's also a test today as well. I don't usually like cutting and editing, and sometimes, most of the times I am doing the webcast, it's really, I've just decided to carry the camera with me, just making sure my attire is proper here. And I just normally used to just carry the camera with me and, just take a walk in the park. And, I feel like just doing a piece of camera, then I do that. I don't specifically look up any specific information for that day, or be precise on dates and events and stuff. It's just how I'm feeling at the moment and how I view things, and it's for me just to air my piece. So today, so in October, we are in about we have 3 different tiers of restrictions or lockdown. London is in tier 2, which kind of means, well, as I believe it, I might be wrong, I've got to double check on it. We're in tier 2, so which means that we can't meet anybody else outside of our family indoor, but we can only meet members of 6 people outside. And there are other areas, the north of England, which is on tier 3 lockdown, which means they can't meet anybody inside their house or outside their house. In Wales now, you can't leave Wales. And in some of those tier 3 areas, you can't leave those areas. You can only go out for essential stuff or going to work or key work. There are some things that are exceptions. So even in tier 3, there are exceptions. But in Wales now, you can't even leave. Wales is on a kind of total lockdown where you can't even leave the area. And you could only go out for essential services. I don't know whether going to work I can't remember whether going to work is part of that, but definitely here in London, under tier 2, it means that non-essential travel. Non-essential travel is recommended. You have to wear a mask in any premises where there is shopping, or there is a curfew. There's a curfew up and down the country of, I think it's 10 o'clock. Everything's got to be shut. Everyone's got to be out. And so that's in force up and down the UK. So the last video cast I said the lockdown is imminent, but we're in a kind of lockdown. So there's different versions of the lockdown. So what they've done is, in order to keep the economy going, is that we've got restrictions. So there's no part of the UK, as far as I know, as in United Kingdom, because there are little islands outside around the United Kingdom, and those little islands, I guess, because they're secluded, they've got all the freedoms. But meanwhile, in a big city like London, there's so much people in and out. There's commerce, there's economics, there is politics, there is entertainment, art. The boats is part of an art thing, and it's a kind of an exhibition. It's an exhibition down here in Finsbury Park, celebrating once again the 150 years of Finsbury Park. I spent a tremendous amount of time here in Finsbury Park. Whether it's good times, bad times, ill times, sad times, you would never know whether I'm having a great time or whether I'm having a real bad time, So when I'm having a real bad time, I will come here to just chill out. And if I'm having a good time, I would come here just to figure out how to keep the good times going, because as night turns to day, good times changes, and same with bad times. As night turns to day, bad times will actually, if you work on it, the bad times will turn to good times, right? But if you don't do anything, good times will always turn to bad times, and bad times will always get worse. Yes, bad times will always get worse, and good times will always go bad, because there's always forces out there working against you. And walking down here, two things come to mind in life. There's always two forces, negative forces, always working against you. It's either the government and the authority always asking you for more stuff. When I say more stuff, in the sense that if you're driving your car, the petrol price will go up, the insurance will go up, the car tax will go up, your parking charges will go up, the toll charges now. I mean, America was great on toll charges, but here in London, we got toll charges. We got a central London charge, and that used to be from 7 in the morning till 6 in the evening now, and that used to be from Monday to Friday. Now it's 7 days a week, and it's from 7 a.m. in the morning till 10 p.m. at night, and therefore I can't drive across from the north here to the south without paying a congestion charge of £15. Right, so there's always two forces working against you. One is the government and the authorities. So if you're paying rent, your rent will go up. Gas, electricity, your utilities will always go up year on year. Any kind of charge, food will go up. And then the other force that works against you is the criminal. Now, when I left my place today, I hope when I reach back, someone hasn't broken in. But I could hear workers working on the flat close to me, and I'm trying to figure out, is this official? Are they doing an official job, or are they actually breaking in? Well, because me and that particular neighbor don't get on too well, which is kind of a good thing, because you don't want your neighbors to be in your business, especially that neighbor. You don't want them to be in your business. And so I hope they're not breaking in and they're officially doing some work. And it makes me think there's always two forces. When I walked out in front of the door, where I've cleared up some leaves, one of the neighbors has actually put another pile of leaves there, and I'm thinking, are you taking the mickey? If you have a car, there'll always be somebody trying to break into your car and steal the stuff in your car, or trying to steal your car, or if you park your car somewhere, someone, these towaway people will come and tow it away. Or when you get a ticket, you're trying to figure out whether this ticket now is this this ticket now official, or are they just trying to make money out of you? You're trying to figure out what's the whole idea about this. So there's always two forces. There is the negative force, the criminal force, and the government force. All right, the criminal force and the government force. And sometimes you're trying to work out which is the worst. Are the government the criminal? You need so much papers and documents to do certain things, before you can get from A to B. You need identification. And a good example whether the government is actually the criminal force, or I don't know. I can't. There's nothing good I can at this moment in thinking that the government is positive. And a good example is the Windrush thing. And this was members of the government, and one of the perpetrators of the thing about the Windrush in relation to Great Britain, and why we call it the Windrush is because people's documentation, they were asked to get certain documentations, and certain people didn't get the documentation. And 2-3 years ago, suddenly the black folks in England found that they were kicked out of their house, their bank accounts were shut down, they couldn't get National Health Service, they were being deported from the country, because they didn't have a piece of paper. And then when they were asked for documentation to get this piece of paper, it was next to impossible. And government records, they said they actually destroyed the records they were meant to keep. As far as I know, this government and the British over time and thing, they never destroy any documentation. They keep it. I mean, I could trace back, and if you're clever enough, you could trace back to the original owners of my great ancestors back in the Caribbean. Everything in every black person in the Caribbean was there because of a plantation, because of slavery, right? Each slave that was bought was meticulously written down, and who they belonged to and which slave owner. So Britain is meticulous at keeping records, and to say that they lost the records of the people that came over here in the 50s under the Windrush, I find very hard to believe. And talking about Windrush, we actually in the Black History Month, and one of the side effects of or good effects of Black History Month this year is that the broadcasters are actually showing programs in relation to black achievement and what we've been doing in this country and how long we've been in this country, and things we've been doing for a long time, not only from the Windrush, the 50s, but before that, And so with the Black Lives Movement, and at the higher tier, the higher level of it, that I think is something positive. There are some negative aspects of that, where we have people are saying, every lives matter. Yes, I agree with that. And they take it away. They thinking, there should be no special treatment. Actually, no, we're not asking for special treatment. We are asking for equal treatment. Let me repeat that. We're not asking for special treatment. we're asking for equal treatment, right? And once we got equal treatment, whatever merit or skills we have which supersedes the rest, then, you know, the rewards of that is truly yours, like the athletes or the footballers or the entertainers. You know, they exceed the norm and they are rewarded for that. So for the other people, all they're asking for is a level playing field, so it's equal. When it comes to law and order, if we're treated equally like everybody else, that is no problem. The only thing is we get special treatment. We get extra attention, you know. You folks out there, you white folks out there, you should ask. You should really feel bad because you don't get as much attention as the black folks do, you know. So you should tell the police force that, you know, they should give you guys special attention as well. See, so we want an equal playing field, and we want to be treated equal first and foremost before anything else. And then if we excel beyond that, then you are given a medal or given a reward or recognized for it, you know. And talking about Black History Month, I saw a beautiful program on Channel 4 last night, a brilliant movie. It's called Numbers, and it's about the 3 black women who were on the NASA program. One was a mathematician, one was a mechanic, and one was a manager and administrator of the technical staff. Literally, they were all black technical staff, you know. And from doing calculations, from being part of the team doing calculations, this is the manager type lady. She managed to have the foresight to figure out that technology would overtake and that they would more want that. And she said to her team of people, all black team of people which she managed, all black women in this sort of typing pool. You remember back in the day, like typists, and they were all doing calculations and stuff. She said, listen, yeah, this technology is moving on, so we learn this thing and work it out. And they did, and they were called upon. They're the only one who knew how to say, like, work the machine, work the computer. Like many of you in the first days, you never knew how to do that, so you had to ask somebody. And these ladies made themselves very valuable. That is the woman in relation to the heading up the calculators, human calculators, all black teams. So I was really chuffed. So that's her section. We had another one who was an engineer, and she had to fight the system, and every time she advanced, they would put obstacles in her way. So one of the features of the movie was she had to take a college to court, you know, and she stood up and defended herself, and she managed to get through in this all-white college in order to get the qualifications in order to move forward. So all the obstacle, and the main character there was the one who did the main calculation, the mathematician, and she's played by Tasia. I forget her second name. She is the actress who played the main role in Empire, you know. But anyway, so this black lady now was key in all of the calculations. And when she first got the job, you know, she had all the way you're treated, you know, you're left out, you know, you have to fight to get in. They don't think you're qualified. And there was a scene in there where the astronaut, these astronauts back in the day that made the Apollo or the NASA missions were all military aircraft. Now we got the RAF here, it's Royal Air Force in America. We got they got the Air Force in America. So they came from the Air Force, the American Air Force. And there's a scene there where he said, oh, the calculations are just about to take off, and they had, T minus 2-3 hours. They got to do some calculations, check the weather, check the temperature, check the gravitational pull, and at this time in the movie they've actually laid off the main character. They actually laid her off because they didn't need the work, and the astronaut says, well, let her check it. And so they had to run and find her. Actually, she's working in a different department, and she went check through the figures, and I happened to be correct, and there was some dramatic moments in there, and it was a really great movie. The point in that movie when the astronauts actually call for her to actually do the calculation reminds me of the Tuskegee Airman, the Red Tails 33, which was an elite black fighter force in America. They were specifically trained differently because of the racism and prejudice. And there was a point in the movie with the Tuskegee Airman, the Red Tails 33, where they've just come out the bar and they had the racist incident, and and they come out the bar and they were kind of pissed off, and they was going to their hotel. They were in Italy at the time, and an airman come running up to them and go, oi, 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 and they were like on guard, ready to fight. And he says, oh, you guys are the airmen, the Red Tails, and they're already thinking like, oh, he's ready to fight. And I said, no, listen, I'm a fighter bomber pilot, and I want you guys to escort us, over our mission tomorrow, And that was a real heart rendering moment, Even now I feel emotional right now. So the same point when my girl Tasia in the movie about NASA, the women doing the calculation, when they asked, they said wanted that girl to do the calculation because his life depended on it, and that's a pivotal moment in the movie. So so that's a bit about the Black History Month. So this is kind of a little bit about the positiveness so far, that Black history now is not really for the black folks, it's really for the white folks. I mean, I've been involved in Black history, and I am Black history, I am Black history. But that event, every October, I've been involved with it from day one in the UK. There's many events and stuff. But now it's time to educate the white folks, or the general population. There's lots of things going on. I don't need it because I know about it. I am part of it. I've witnessed many things. Actually, on one of these boards, we have Diane Abbott. And we have Jeremy Corbyn. There's a picture. Diane Abbott is one of the first black MPs in the UK, right? Diane Abbott, Paul Boateng, Bernie Grant, and Keith Vaz. Keith Vaz is Indian descent. I hate this word Asian. In fact, I hate this word black. But anyway, who has fallen into a bit of disgrace at the moment in his old age and his kinky ways, But so Black history is always around me. I'm always part of it. Like I said, on this board here, Jeremy Corbyn and our girl there from Hackney, Diane Abbott, and so that's a little bit positiveness now from the Black history. But back to the virus now. The rate of infection yesterday was around 19,000 people was tested positive in, let's say, the whole of the United Kingdom. Right now, it's going to be, I think that was for just England, and the total death yesterday was 350, right? And the hospitalization, people in hospital is about 900 900 people. Now, I'm not quite too sure about the intensive care, whether they're on incubators or what have you. But on my last webcast, I mentioned something about 200, averaging about 200. It's now, let's say averaging about 200. Yesterday was 350, so the figures go up and down. The infection rate is, yesterday was 19,000. It's over 10,000. It's going to average up to 20,000 in the next few days. Today's Wednesday. I'll say by the weekend. 10,000 infections a day was the amount we had when we had the first wave. We're now in the second wave, and from different factors, we are hearing that it's going to be more serious than the first wave. A lot of the planning and a lot of the government rhetoric is that it's going to be around until April, March next year. Now we're into the winter season or the autumn season. The weather is going to get worse. So generally, we're going to have more sick people. We usually have a lot of people die from the cold and the damp and the mortality. We usually lose a lot of people. So add that to the current situation. The other thing that's riding high at the moment is the poverty, especially with the children. They're on holiday. You probably can hear some voices in the background. So these are the kids playing, so they're on holiday. So one of the biggest thing politically at the moment is actually food for the kids on holiday. There are so much people in poverty that they need the government to assist them in food in order to keep their, for the kids. And there was one, Rushford, I think the footballer's name. He's been out there campaigning, and he's managed to get on the last holiday. Managed to get the government to actually give money so that food can be given to the kids while they're on holiday. So the kids are on a short holiday. I think it's 1 or 2 weeks, and there's a big political row. The government says we're not going to give any money for that. Some of the politicians says yes, you must give them some money. Some of the political commentators are actually saying that the government would eventually cave in. Government being Boris Johnson would eventually cave in, meaning that cave in and give money to the councils or to the people directly to fund the kids actually to get food during the school holidays, because of the poverty in Britain. It's not only the poverty in Britain, it's also the poverty in the USA and around the world as well. But so that's the story that's riding high. Also the lockdown, the 3-tier lockdown. The third tier is actually the north of England is actually on the 3rd-tier lockdown. As I left today to come to the park, there are more areas. So it's like a curtain. It's a very slow curtain actually moving down England as there's more and more restrictions. Now, some people would say that we should be in full lockdown already. In fact, for my money, we should have been in full lockdown like 2 and 3 weeks back. But what I realized the government is trying to do is trying to keep the economy going as much as possible, and it's not gonna chuck the towel in. As Boris Johnson said about Brexit, he wouldn't be found dead in the ditch. So Boris Johnson is not ready to be found dead in the ditch. That means rowing back on certain decisions. So he's holding back on the lockdown at the moment, and he's trying to get as much out of the economy, or keep the economy going, before he actually calls for that. Some of the word being used is a circuit breaker, or words like that, a circuit breaker, or a halt in order to stop the virus spreading. But the virus is spreading. There's nothing they can do about it. For my money, when you isolate people, all you do is keep the virus away from them in isolation. When you let them out of isolation, if you're strong enough, the virus will get you when you come out of isolation, but if you're strong enough, you'll survive. If you're not strong enough, then you know, that will be your demise. And I think we're about to go into a very dark tunnel at the moment. It's a roller coaster ride, okay? Let me repeat that. We're about to go into a dark tunnel, a roller coaster ride, and we're going to lose people, right? It might even get me, right? And the news is that the people who've had immunity, who've had the virus and have some immunity, they're saying that is not going to last. The news is also that the virus is actually mutating or mutated, right? The news is the virus is always going to be around, right? It's not that during the first lockdown that the virus went away. The virus is always going to be here. So some people are saying you got to learn to live with it. Now, what I'm finding out there is two schools or two different views on the virus. There are virus deniers who says there's no such thing as a virus. It's all a conspiracy. It's a fake. And there's people who are so taken on board all what's said, that if they see you not wearing a mask or they see you not following any of the restrictions, they come up to you and say, hey, what are you doing? You know? So there's two schools. There's even protests. There's been protests here in London over the weekend, and people were arrested. There are protests over there in France, Italy, Spain, because people do not want to follow the restrictions on the second wave. Italy, France, Spain, the virus is now has increased as much as it did as it was in the first wave, and these European countries have now got curfews. Now we got a curfew in the UK. 10 o'clock, everything shuts down. You know, the only thing that's missing from that is that we haven't got the army out there to enforce it. Really. So you've still got the free will to walk the streets, but there's no pubs or bars or any business functioning. Only there's exceptions, vital services, etc. But over in Europe, there are lockdowns and there are restrictions being in place, and some of them have been very, very strict now. In tier 3, you're not allowed, over here in the UK, you're not allowed to see anybody outside of your household, inside or outside. So that's tier 3. We're in tier 2, so our restrictions, as I believe, might be wrong, something like we can't associate with anybody outside of our family inside, but outside we can associate with 6 people. Sports events can go on, well, not sports events can go on, certain kind of keep fit and sports things can go on, not events as in football match and cricket where there's audience. There's big restrictions on that. There's no concerts, there's no music. The arts and the entertainment thing, hospitality is no go. Police will come and visit you, local council will come and visit you and shut you down or even fine you. Now we've got harsh restrictions on that. So that's where we are today, Wednesday, 28th October The time now is about 2 p.m. By the weekend, the death rate, the infection rate is going to go up. By next week, we're going to be in a completely different world. And we just don't know. How I view this is going to be a roller coaster ride. So hang on tight. We're going to go through a tunnel. The light we see at the end of this tunnel, some of us ain't gonna make it. It is really like a war. It's a war. Some of it is a war of attrition, and some people can't take it anymore. You know, they're literally, because of isolation, because of the restrictions. Some people are suffering depression and mental problems. So I'm not saying some people are running around stir crazy, but some people are acting stir crazy. So we're about to go into this tunnel. We don't know how long for. We don't know if there's we don't know what the end of it is. It's also like a roller coaster as well, right? We don't know. It's just full of twists and turns. But at this moment now, the government is playing it, in the UK is playing it or in England. Wales is under a total lockdown. People can't leave the area, people can't leave their house, people can't leave their house. They could only go for essential supplies, and there's a big thing about that. Ireland too is on a total lockdown, which means you can't have visitors come visit you, you can't go and visit people, you could only leave to go out for essential services. Scotland is on a 5-tier lockdown. I'm not quite sure how stringent it are, how it's implied. Up north, the 3-tier lockdown is very serious. You can't go visit people can't go visit you. Only essential travel and work. It hasn't reached London yet, but very slowly it's actually coming down, and it's going to reach a point. I give it sort of next week. By next week, the government will have to increase the restrictions here in London. We don't know how severe it is. I guess I can make a bet. It's going to be more severe than it is actually now. Meanwhile, over in America, we got a Trump of an election going on. So back to do you believe there's a virus, or you don't believe there's a virus? So we got two camps. Two people who fall in two camps. So I don't know how whatever camp you fall in, or whatever you believe in. That's how I see things. And like I said, it's going to be a roller coaster of a ride. We're about to go through a dark tunnel. I'm going to lose some of you, or I might get lost in the tunnel as well. So we don't know. Anyway, I'm going to say goodbye for the time being, and watch out for the next webcast up to production standard and that kind of thing. So watch out for the next one. Yeah, me again.